Hi, I'm Mark, and welcome to the current Outside Views report on Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine. The NATO states remain open to Ukraine's accession. However, the alliance at the summit in Vilnius names conditions for it. NATO gives Ukraine, which has been attacked by Russia, the hope of being included in the defense alliance, but attaches conditions to a formal invitation. This emerges from a statement adopted on Tuesday at the NATO summit in the Lithuanian capital, Vilnius. Specifically, the text says, Ukraine's future is in NATO. We reaffirm our commitment made at the Bucharest summit in 2008 for Ukraine to become a member of NATO. According to the statement, however, NATO will only be able to invite Ukraine to join an alliance if the allies are in agreement and the conditions are met. Additional necessary reforms in the area of democracy and the security sector are mentioned as concrete examples. This is a strong package for Ukraine and a clear path towards NATO membership, is what NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said in the Lithuanian capital on Tuesday. The allies had decided on three major steps that would bring Ukraine closer to NATO. Stoltenberg said a multi-year program will allow Ukraine's armed forces to transition from the Soviet era to NATO standard training and doctrine. The aim is also to rebuild the defense sector and to supply critical goods such as fuel, mine clearance equipment, and medical supplies. Secondly, Stoltenberg called the new NATO-Ukraine Council, where they met as equals. This body met for the first time on Wednesday and was used for consultation in crises and joint decision-making. And Stoltenberg further said, thirdly, we reaffirmed Ukraine's membership of NATO and removed the requirement for a membership action plan. This changes Ukraine's path to membership from 2 to 1 step. Finland and Sweden had recently gone through a similarly accelerated procedure. The restriction addresses the reservations of countries such as Germany and the USA. In the negotiations, they had insisted that NATO membership should continue to be linked to the fulfillment of conditions. For example, according to alliance standards, the military must be subject to civilian and democratic control. There had been a dispute in the alliance for weeks about the prospects of Ukraine joining. Eastern allies in particular support Ukraine's desire to receive a formal invitation at the summit to join once Russia's war of aggression has ended. In the end, however, they were unable to assert themselves against countries such as Germany and the USA. Another reason for the non-invitation is concerns about an unpredictable reaction by Russia, which is trying to prevent the country from joining NATO with its war against Ukraine. And those threats were made a lot during that time. As a compromise, the NATO states have now agreed to promise Ukraine not to insist on the usual pre-accession program before the intended admission. This will turn Ukraine's accession process from a two-stage process to a one-stage process, said Secretary General Stoltenberg shortly before the start of the meeting in the Lithuanian capital. Upon his arrival in Vilnius, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz emphasized the importance of security guarantees for Ukraine. To this end, the G7 countries prepared a joint declaration on the sidelines of the NATO summit. In addition, NATO already wants to significantly expand cooperation with Ukraine. To this end, the existing NATO-Ukraine Commission was upgraded to a NATO-Ukraine Council. And this should make it possible to discuss key security issues at eye level and also to make decisions together. The Commission was set up primarily to discuss reforms needed to join the Western military alliance. And if you want to know more about developments in that war, the next video is right here in the end screen. I'll see you there. I'll be back.